right, welcome to my Monday morning. I am so excited to talk about physical discipline today. I know that when we talk about discipline just in general, everybody's brains probably go to, oh, I don't wanna, because then I got to look in the mirror at myself and go, what am I doing and what am I not doing? And I know I'm not that disciplined of a person. Help. So that's why I'm here, is to help you, because some of us are good at some things and some of us are really bad at other things. And I would say that discipline has not always been my strong suit, like growing up and stuff. And even in my 20s, I was not very disciplined. I spent much time doing things I should not have. I guess I had some discipline because I did finish a 4-year degree. I don't know if that was discipline or not, but it happened. So I know that, like I said, when we think about discipline, some of us are like, oh, I've got really strong discipline, but maybe only in certain areas. And that's why I decided to make the whole month of March about it, because I think that even if we're disciplined in one area, we might struggle in the other areas, while somebody might be very mentally disciplined and focused in getting their things done and their to-do list checked off and keeping on top of their personal development, all those things. They might struggle really bad with physical discipline. They never work out. They don't take care of their body. They eat like garbage. They do bad things repeatedly to themselves to self-sabotage their physical discipline. And then there's those of us who struggle with emotional discipline, like getting our heads screwed on straight and continuing on a positive journey rather than continuously sliding back into negative thought patterns and fear and all of this stuff that doesn't serve us and doesn't do us any good. Then there's those of us who struggle with time management discipline. And that's my favorite subject, I think, out of all of them. I do believe that physical discipline, what we're talking about today, actually ties in all of the other ones together. And I actually think it's the most important one. And I say that because if you don't have your brain operating at full capacity in your body, like your physical being, the other parts aren't going to work. So if I should have actually started this with physical discipline, but I didn't, because I felt like I might lose some people on the topic, right? So I wanted to start with mental discipline last week. If you didn't catch that episode, you can find that on replay along with all of our other episodes. We've kind of pulled apart the brands a little bit. We went over this last week, but I'm going to continue talking about it a little bit so people just understand where to find everything. I have my own YouTube channel. So I load everything up to there. I have my own podcast now. I load everything up to there. Sid has her own channel and podcast. Podcast is same as always for Sid. She took that one over and stole it from me and went riding off into the sunset with it and told me to get lost and find my own. Just kidding. I just had to throw that in there because some people have been like, is everything okay with you? She's like out of state and talking about all these big life changes and you guys aren't doing stuff together anymore. I'm like, that's not true. What you see is not always what you get. Okay, so back to our physical discipline. So I talk a lot about, and I feel like I've done a really good job of kind of letting this spill over into people's lives that I work with directly and indirectly. It's the exercise portion. It's the piece that you need on most days to continue feeding your brain what it needs so your brain can feed the rest of the buckets. That's why I say that physical discipline is, I believe, the most important one. If the brain isn't firing on all cylinders, or at least 3 out of the 6, no, I'm just kidding. If the brain isn't flowing on and running on all cylinders, the rest of those buckets aren't getting filled. The rest of those buckets aren't going to stay disciplined. I talk about getting exercise first thing in the morning because that's what works for me. Now, exercise for everybody could look a little bit different. It depends on your schedule and the things that you need to accomplish. I know that if I exercise, I have such a great example, and Ken hates it when I use him as an example, but I'm going to in just a minute. I don't want to forget. But so like Monday mornings, I know I have to be on. I have to be on. I have to be ready physically, I have to be ready emotionally, I have to be ready mentally, and I have to manage my time first thing on a Monday morning. So you better believe it is far and few between that I get up on a Monday morning and exercise doesn't happen first. I have to, because if I don't, this brain does not operate for everybody the way that it needs to. And so we have to get our physical discipline in check before we even start to work on the other ones. If you have not incorporated exercise in your regular routine, and I'll throw this in there, if you're in my mastermind starting soon, you're going to. You thought it was just a mastermind for your business. But if I'm going to work with you, I have to know that you are going to put in a little bit of effort to the physical part of your body and brain work at full capacity. I'm not talking, I'm going to make you go lift weights or join some crazy, but I am going to talk to you regularly about getting in at least 20 minutes of exercise in the morning. I don't care if that's a brisk walk outside. And what are you doing? Oh, what, Sid?
Someone is unmuted. I don't know if you can hear them.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. The mute all on entry, I don't think it's on, because this 864 number, they've been talking like the whole time.
I have it on mute on entry. I don't know why it's not working.
Yeah.
They're unmuting themselves.
Okay. Sorry, and I couldn't get on yours this morning. That's why I was like trying to.
And now I realize why that was super quiet. For some reason, the volume was turned all the way down on my computer and not up. That's why I couldn't hear you. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, sorry. How long was that going on for? Do I need to rewind?
Maybe a little.
Okay. Sorry. I had no idea that was happening. If you guys, when you come on here, please, please, please make sure your phones are muted. Okay. So let me back up. I don't know exactly where I was at, but I'm going to back up just a little bit. We have another unmuter. Guys, what's going on this morning? You're hurting. You're really struggling here. Stop it. That makes it really hard for us. Okay, I don't know why people are getting, I'm going to pause for just a second, you guys. I'm going to resume. We are going to resume. I don't know where I left off. So let me just back up just a little bit and say, the physical discipline first thing in the morning, the exercise. I talked a little bit about, those of you who are joining me in my first mastermind ever are definitely going to find out that I don't take that lightly. I'm obviously not going to send anybody into a boot camp, but I am going to work with people on getting 20 minutes of exercise in first thing in the morning. And if that's a brisk walk outside or on a treadmill or something, and if it's only 20 minutes in the morning, I'm going to ask you to throw another 20 minutes in somewhere out throughout your day, something, whether it's push-ups or sit-ups or more cardio or a little bit of weight training, because I know that if I'm working with you and you're adding some physical into your daily routine, I'm going to get more out of you, and you're going to get more out of you, and you're going to get more out of my program, right? So if I'm going to work with you, I want you to be physically, I'm not saying physically fit. I don't need a bunch of, people thinking that it's going to be a crazy, boot camp type scenario, but I do want you to know how important I put physical activity on my list. So some people ask me all the time, how do you get so much done in a given day? Well, guess what? The brain has to be physically fit. And that means exercise. Exercise releases endorphins. It helps all the happy chemicals in your brain get going. So here's my fun story. And I'm sorry, Ken, I apologize now. He's actually still home right now. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I love my husband dearly. There's so many things that he is really, really good at. And then there's some things that he struggles with, just like me. Exercise, he works a physical, he's a contract, he works on corporate aviation airplanes, and he runs different jobs for different companies for their corporate travel and their corporate airplanes. So not like airliners, but the private jets. So, but his job is pretty physical on most days. He could be hanging from an airplane wing and changing out an engine to all kinds of crazy stuff. Fitting himself in tiny little spaces that his body doesn't actually fit in, hanging upside down to fix things so that you can fly appropriately. Okay. So his job can get very physical. So a lot of times he's beat by the end of the day, right? And comes home and there is no time for exercise. Well, he's been taking a little bit time away from that role in the last couple of weeks. And we're getting ready to go on a spring break. I'm totally throwing him under the bus right now. He's going to hate me. We're getting ready to go on spring break. We're going to be on the beach for a week. And he decided that he's not appreciating his dad bod right now, and he would like to do something about it. So he started this 100 push-up a day challenge, and just to start somewhere, right? To like make himself disciplined on something that he knew he would get out of the way. He didn't have to stop what he was doing for, 45 minutes at a time. He didn't need to, we have a gym downstairs. He didn't need to go down to the gym. He didn't have to, like it was something he could do even if he was going back to the airport to work too, like he could fit it in. Well, he's doing it in little sections throughout the day, because 100 push-ups at one time is actually kind of hard. I told him, I was like, I'm going to do it with you, but girl push-ups, the ones that I stay on my knees. It's actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So, but the moral of this story is, through this process, I have seen in the last 7 days, a massive change in his mindset. Massive. From stupid 100 push-ups a day, you guys, it's shifted his emotional well-being in his head for other areas of his life. In 7 days, because I'm with him all day, I can see the physical difference in him mentally from 100 push-ups a day. What could you do with your business life if you implemented an exercise routine to up your physical discipline? It's a game changer. I promise you. So along with exercise, and I love Kristen's comment on here, I have to exercise daily. Now that I have had my cast on, I can't. It's messed my mind up. I'm less motivated and more down. Kristen, let's fix that. I'm all about solution. So I don't know if you have a treadmill at home. I do know that you have a Peloton. You're not allowed to get on it. Yes, the 10 scrolls, Paul, such a great piece to add in. That, you know what, Danelle did an amazing job doing that training on that. So need to implement that into some of the things that I do 100%. I actually have the 10 scrolls book. I wish it was sitting right here. I just had it. It was literally like a relic, and I bought it somewhere and found it. And they're like very hard to find nowadays. Anyways, totally squirreling. Kristen, treadmill. Kristen, outside walk in your snow boots. Kristen, you can do stuff without your arm. I promise. I know that you really want to get on the bike and do the cycling, but if it's messing with your brain that much, I know that it is, because I know you have to go and put something else in there that doesn't use your arm. And I know you probably couldn't even do like any physical activity for a little bit after you had your surgery, but I think you're probably cleared to at least do some like brisk walking out in our snow day again today. Okay, so a little bit more. Along with physical discipline, and I'll go back to Danelle, this is a prime example of another piece of physical discipline that is absolutely necessary in your life. She did a live recently. She's lost a ton of weight. She's been working out like every single day. She looks phenomenal. She looks phenomenal. She has really put in a lot of effort to change some things in her physical, right? She went on one of her lives and talked about sleep. And one thing that I always admired about her, and I still do, is how much that lady can fit in a given day, and how many places she can bounce across the world in a given 7 days and still show up with patience, kindness, and a wonderful, joyful attitude. But she wasn't sleeping, you guys, and she will tell you that she wasn't putting in enough reps sleeping. So her physical, she needed sleep, and she put that in. She finally decided to put some importance on that and put that in. And wow, she started shedding pounds so fast. Her body was lacking sleep and needed it bad to fire on all cylinders. So she may have had the mental discipline all down pat, but there was a piece of that puzzle that needed some fixing and rotating, and that was her sleep. And it has changed the game for her. She will tell you, she went live and talked about it, how important it is and how she will never, ever go again on a regular. I mean, sometimes we're not going to get in 8 hours of sleep, but she will get 8 hours of sleep every single day for the rest of her life, unless, schedule, sometimes we'll take that out of it. But your sleep, your rest is ultra important. It's one thing I already know I cannot do without. If I go a number of days on less than 8 hours of sleep, I get sick. And I don't generally get all the way sick, but I get very run down, and then I feel sick, and then I start canceling stuff. I almost said the S word. Stuff. I start canceling stuff because I don't feel good and I'm run down. And I know that happens when I lack sleep. And there's been, thanks to our lovely hormones that we get in our mid 40s to 50s, sometimes I go through these bouts where my body just will not sleep. And if I do that, my mental is jacked. Don't ask me for anything. I'm not a nice person. I am completely unstable. I am completely whacked out because of lack of sleep. It is the first thing that starts to deteriorate my mind is lack of sleep. If you are not getting in, I'd say 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night, I would ask you to, I don't care if you're the person that's like, I can go on 4, I'm so good. No, you can't. No, you can't. Your life is lacking somewhere because of the lack of sleep. Your body depends on 8 hours of rest most nights. I would love to dissect someone who says that they only need 4 hours of sleep a night and dissect the other pieces and parts of their life to see what is not working correctly, because there's something there that's missing. Oh yes. If you see that, Paul, will you share that with me? I've heard about that a couple of times. I've never gone back to go and find it and hear it, because I want to listen to that, and I don't want to forget this time. Okay, so physical discipline involves developing habits of consistency, persistence, and self-control in your physical activity and lifestyle. It requires a commitment to regular exercise. We already went over that. Adequate rest. We went over that. And healthy eating habits. So sometimes we're really good about getting the physical in, getting the exercise in on the regular. And sometimes we're really good about getting enough rest in. And then our diet is really poor. So I'm not saying to not have some days where you cheat and have pizza. And I think that there's balance in everything. Eating 100% clean all of the time is not something I will probably ever be able to do. I like pizza and cookies and beer. Okay. Not all at the same time, but I do like them. So there has to be a little bit of give and take. Oh, thank you for dropping that in there. I need to copy that so I don't lose it. If you guys want that, thank you so much, Paul, for giving that to us. I'm going to drop it in here so I can put it in our follow-up email from this morning. Okay. So I love that Joey's on here. I know that he probably had some things to do and hopped on a few minutes late, and that's totally okay. I just love that he's on here because this is something that he and I have been working together on, some of this discipline stuff for the last couple of months. And one of the things that he mistakenly told me was that when he was doing his best in his said career path, he was actually going to a like Fit Body boot camp type place most mornings of the week. He was literally like almost running the classes and just like crushing it and motivating everybody else. And he was at the top of his game. And so there's some things that we were working through, and I was like, okay, if that was working for you, how come you're not doing it anymore? So we talked about that for a few weeks, and I was like, you stop near a Planet Fitness every single morning on your way to work. Can you do me a favor and just go in there and get 20 minutes of exercise every morning before you get to your 9 to 5? So he started on that path, right? And I was checking in with him to be his accountability partner, and he was doing it, and he was sending me screenshots of his 20 minutes on whatever machine he was doing, and then moving on with his day. Well, guess what that slowly turned into? He's now back at a boot camp style type exercise workout place that is not Planet Fitness. And I'm guaranteeing he's probably getting in more than 20 minutes and his brain is starting to fire like it used to, and see him shaking his head. Yes. The physical part of your routine is going to do more for you than almost anything else. And once you put that in your routine, your brain just it optimizes and it wants to do more and it sees more. So I have this pattern of, I like to get up in the morning. This is not me every single morning. I am not 100% like disciplined on this. I'm working on it. Some mornings I like to sleep a little bit longer, but this morning, this is my normal Monday routine. And I try to do this as many days of the week as possible. I get up, I work out. I always do my gratitude. And that's part of my mental discipline. And then I get in the shower. And by the time I get in the shower, I already know my brain is starting to fire off. And if you work with me, my mastermind people are about to get a really nice taste of what Sydney and Joey get all the time. My brain will fire stuff off during my bang time, we call that, like the 8 o'clock hour to the 2 o'clock hour, but more so almost like 8 to noon. And it's nonstop fire. Like I can't stop. It doesn't stop, but it's because of the physical and staying on a routine, being very organized with my time management and all of those pieces coming together. And I know that your physical discipline will greatly impact your mental discipline if you are putting it in. So if you're missing that one puzzle piece, I am going to challenge you after today that you start at least getting 20 minutes of exercise in your morning routine. And I also want you to check your diet. Let's see what we're feeding our brain all day long. If you are, I had this conversation with my stepdaughter, my bonus daughter this weekend, about some friends that had been losing drastic amounts of weight really quick on this new program. And we started going through the program and she's like, basically they're just starving themselves. I'm like, man, that is not going to work. You might lose 20 pounds really fast to be in your bikini, but you've totally screwed up your brain and your metabolism now. So while that might be considered physical discipline for you, it's not. It is not a good long-term strategy. Let's do things that are good long-term strategy for your brain, for your hormones, for your sustainability, and for, so that you're not backsliding. Because what does backsliding do? Screws up our mental focus again, because we now feel like we failed and we're back in that hole again. Another friend I see post on social media all the time, and I truly believe he is so correct. We females mostly love to go on starvation diets because we think that's the only way. We bring our calorie deficit down to 1,200 calories a day, and we think that's the way that we can lose weight. And I'm not saying that that won't work temporarily. It will. But now we've gotten into this mode of, well, let's just starve ourselves to lose weight. Let's just eliminate all the things. And in all reality, what he posts all the time, and he says, I'm going to keep posting this until you guys get this through your brain. The more you eat, the more you'll lose. The less you eat, the less you'll lose. Now, I'm not saying to go eat pizza 3 times a day, but if you do it in a healthy way, the more you eat, the more you'll lose. We are starving ourselves, which starves our brain, which starves the rest of our body. And now we are completely out of rhythm. Find some discipline in your diet and it will feed into the, no pun intended, it will feed into the rest of your disciplines. Okay. And then I want you to check your sleep. How much sleep are you actually getting? We're going to start a new routine here on our physical discipline. We're going to get sleep, we're going to eat right, and we're going to exercise. And I'm not talking drastic changes, because sometimes people are like, that's a lot. That's a lot. No, I'm talking 20 minutes of exercise. I'm talking change your sleep routine so that you're getting a good 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep. 8's the not lucky number for me. Some people it's 9, they need a little bit more, and some people it's 7. But let's get in that zone. Okay. So we got the exercise, we got the food, and we've got the sleep. What else? Hydration, hydration, hydration. Kind of goes along with food, but it doesn't. I give it its own topic, because if you are not drinking enough water and you are putting in coffee and soda and teas and all of the things that have extra additives, you are not hydrating your body appropriately. And the lack of hydration causes tiredness, which causes lack of focus, which then leads to not getting all of your to-do list done every single day. I know precisely when my body is dehydrated, because I start wanting to get up from my desk and go do other things. I want to go rest. I am just not as focused. I am worn out, and I haven't even gotten in like 8 hours of work. And I'm like, okay, I need to go get a bottle of water and I need to chug it. And then I need to give myself a few minutes to get back on track because I am dehydrated at this point, and that is why this isn't working. So I want you to check your water intake. This is part of your physical discipline, getting in those 8 glasses of water a day. You can do that however you want. I have done, times I've done the water challenge with people on a 30-day is to try to get people's, we would do step challenges, water challenges. I want people to up their water intake and up their exercise intake. So I just know that what it will do to your business if you do. And this all relates back to having a whole entire harmonious lifestyle and upping all of the other categories. Physical discipline can be a social activity that allows you to connect with others, build community, and improve teamwork, communication skills. Ultimately, physical discipline is a lifestyle that can lead to a happier, healthier, and more fulfilling life because it puts all of the pieces in check and together. I think that is all that I have for you guys this morning. You have some homework. I would love to hear your results. One thing that I do, and I'm getting better about telling people, is, Mandy, sit tight. I'm going to answer that question. The putting all of these pieces together is so important. I like to hear what people's results are. So if you are taking inventory right now going, I'm definitely not getting enough sleep. I haven't been exercising, at least not regularly. I'm only like throwing in, be honest with yourself. I'm really only throwing in like 1 day a week. I could just break that down into 20 minutes, like she said, in the morning, each morning, so that I can boost the endorphins. I'm kind of eating like crap. I need to get that in check, and I'm not drinking enough water. Like if you go through all of those things and they're not all in check, or some of them are, some of them aren't, do me a favor, put them all in check. That's your homework for this week. Come up with a plan. It's not a difficult one. I'm not asking you to make major shifts. These are just tiny little habits that we're going to change. I want to know the results from you. And I believe, because I watched what happened with Ken over 7 days, I believe that within a week's time, if you implement this today, by next Monday, when we get in and talk, I believe it's emotional discipline next week. By the time we get in next, I think you're going to see some drastic changes. And if we see change, then we continue the habits. But you got to be disciplined about it, right? If we're going to change them, then be disciplined to do it for the 7 days. And then let's see where you are a week from now. I almost guarantee you're gonna feel different, which is gonna bleed over into bubble over. Let's not say bleed. That's gonna bubble over into all of the other parts, right? I'm glad that I could make some of you laugh this morning. Mandy, the sleep is a big one. I wake up every hour. Some of that is our age, but I want you to check in with me. Let's be honest with ourselves about what we're doing during the day. Is there too much caffeine going in? Like, I know if I drink something with caffeine in it past noon, I will not sleep well that night. That's how my body operates. I'm super in tune with it though, because sleep has always been super important to me. I cannot have a lack of sleep. But there's also some other things that we could probably add in there, Mandy, that might help keep you asleep. Some of it is hormones. That's just the age we're at. But some of it, we could probably change up some things that are going on in your daytime to adjust for the nighttime. And I'd love to help you with that. So just shoot me a message so I don't forget. And let's work through some of those things, because I love you to pieces and I want you to sleep. Electronics before bed. I try to put the electronics away an hour before bed. Paul, I totally agree with you. I am terrible at that. But I totally agree with you. I've heard that a million times enough to know that it probably does affect people's sleep patterns. I don't think that it has affected mine. That's why I don't do it, but I probably should. I'm a little, as my husband sends me articles from TikTok about being addicted to my device. We all have our bad habits. All right, guys, I hope you have a fabulous week. I truly appreciate when you hop on these live. Bring more friends with you so they can tune in live, because we don't always go back and watch the replays and the recordings, but they are available for you. We will start sending out emails of where you can find all of those things. So feel free to forward any of those emails to your friends that you think would benefit from anything that we cover on these live Zooms. We just appreciate you so much. And I hope you have a fabulous week. And let's see what happens in the next 7 days when we change up some of these habits. Bye, guys.